do it live.
Okay. Welcome to the half-eaten peach.
There you go. All right. Mr. Perry.
Anthony.
We're going to talk blues today.
It sounds like we're going to be talking blues, but not only blues, we're talking about legendary types of blues.
We are. So today, I have the pleasure of sitting with a good friend of mine, Michael Allman.
What's up?
We're here at the Half-Eaten Peach, Newport Richey, Florida. Michael, tell us about this place. It's pretty...
Well, when COVID came out, I had 36 shows cancel. And I proceeded to have a one-man party at my house. And at the end of that year, I had planned on opening some kind of little shop, maybe a record store or whatever. So as soon as all that canceled, I opened it that day. Because I got the police called at my house and said, "Shut up, Michael, you can't be noisy after 11. Well, as you can possibly hear, there's a 19 out there. I can never drown that out. So I can come in here and make all the noise I want. And it turned into something a lot more important to me than I thought it would. The flood took out a bunch of stuff, but it's my big old man cave.
Yeah, man cave. That's how you refer to it.
Yeah.
One of the most impressive man caves I've ever seen. No doubt about that, man. This is incredible.
I used to go out drinking. Now I just dump all my money in here.
Well, so there's a lot of, a lot of photos, a lot of memorabilia for stuff that you have here. Is there any piece in here that stands out? Anything
there's several. There's a string of shows I did during the death of B.B. King. That B.B. King poster came off of New York's B.B. King's store there that doesn't exist anymore, and we were playing downstairs in Lucille's Bar and Grill when for the day of his celebration of life. They had it in Memphis, but they were celebrating. They had wreaths out in front of all of them, and that was the same day. And those were hanging on the wall. I actually took that one off. I love it. And then the posters right after my father's death that we did some shows. And then B.B. King's sent me the same thing for my father.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a rest in peace, just like his. They're really cool. I had those, no naked walls. Did a fabulous job making those permanently framed. Those are my best favorite pictures. And then I got records and all my shows. It's a little bit about me. There's a lot of pictures of me around here. The really cute ones came from my mama's house. She just passed in February.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Really?
And I got a place to work on guitars. I got every kind of instrument that's not true. Lots of instruments you could play that are playable. I rent it out for rehearsals, air conditioned, little kitchenette, bathroom, $30 an hour. You can rent the place and practice.
So you get a lot of the local
local musicians come in and play. I got a housewife comes in, pays $30 for 1 hour. She comes and plays on the grand piano for an hour, and then goes deals with her kids and family. I said, well, that's perfect. This is the best $30 better than any. She'll come in, sit, and I'll step out. She plays in here by herself. It's neat. So anybody, it's therapy. So pretty
Music
soon.
Oasis, huh?
Music Oasis. That's excellent. Actually.
Well, we want to talk obviously about Michael Allman Band. What you have coming up, what you've been working on.
I do. I've welcomed Armand Blackwater to take Dennis Torpedo's. I don't like saying take his place, but I found since Dennis Torpedo's death, the Southern Michael Allman Band has been nil. I didn't know what to do about that, and I was heartbroken. And then I found talked with Armand Blackwater, and he's ready to come aboard. So I got a band in Philly, and I'm going up there for July. I got 3 weeks in July up there, and when I return, I'll put that together and put the Michael Allman Band back together.
Okay.
Mark Shane, I believe I haven't spoke with Mark Shane, so I'm jumping the gun, but I don't foresee my blood brother not being there. So Mark Shane, Armand Blackwater, and I'm not sure who yet. I'm getting with them and see what kind of thoughts they have.
Mark Shane's another Newport Richey local guy.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the reason. He's the reason I came to Newport Richey in the first place.
Yeah, you were on your way to Sarasota.
Yeah, I was headed down to Sarasota because there's a large collection of Allman family down that way. I thought, well, let's go say hi. And then I stopped here to meet Mark Shane and never left.
Okay, well, let's go backwards a little bit. You know, obviously for some of the people that watch our podcast that aren't aware of your history, of which there's thousands of interviews with Michael about, you know, how he got here. But, you know, let's just touch on it a little bit.
I'm Michael Allman, BC. Before share.
Right? No, before share. Wow. So, you know, son of the famous Greg Allman from the Allman Brothers. You grew up in Daytona, right?
Well, I haven't grown up yet, so I was born in Daytona.
Born in Daytona, okay. And from what I understand, you didn't meet up with your dad until later on in life.
Yeah, I was a son of a Learjet pilot as far as I knew until I don't know, I think I was about 8. And I remember the exact moment of finding out that I was not his son, because my grandparents at the time came and they scooped up my sister and left me standing there. And she said, oh, well, he wasn't your dad. Danny's not your dad. Your dad's Greg Allman. I didn't know what that meant at 8. I just went, huh? It's a little traumatic for an 8-year-old, lose your dad and then find out it's not your dad.
And then your dad's famous.
And then, yeah, I'm surprised your dad's famous. But, well, at the time he was famous for, you know, unfortunately, all I watched, I never touched heroin because all I ever saw was, you know, growing up, my inspirational years was the problems that he went through with the heroin. That's all the news I ever seemed to catch. And I'm like, ugh. So I actually never touched it because of that. So I guess that helped.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. Did I answer?
Well, you know, yeah, absolutely. You know, you what was it like, or how was it with that first meeting with your dad?
Well, I saw him once when I was young. We went to a show, and then it turned out. But when I moved, I was 17, 18 or 19, maybe a little later. Anyway, I flew into Sarasota. He was living in Anna Maria Island. And that was the first time I moved in and lived with him. And it was unbelievably strange because, well, if you find this book, page 299 and 300, he tells the story. And it ends with, he didn't know shit from shit. That's literally in the book. But I was quite young and straight from Detroit. My mom's, you know, they had their own issues. I was alone. Sister's been gone for ever, it seemed like. And moved in with him. I went to school there for a few minutes, but he was gone so much, I was there alone. And I wasn't really smart enough to be on my own. Yeah. From there on, I was. When I returned, I went back to Michigan for a little while. I was there for about 5 months. It was the most unbelievable thing I had ever seen, because I just came from a, you know, very much struggling. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer right around the same time. And she proceeded to deal with that and residual stuff until just last February, where she finally kind of gave up. Yeah, so, you know, coming from a family that didn't have anything and struggling really hard to, you know, coming in and seeing a house that looks similar to this, you know, his house, Hammond in the living room, and just the overwhelming, hey, guess what? You're now this. And never knowing how to figure out what to do with that, I always sat around waiting for the world to hand me something. And plus my father said, don't get in this business. Don't get in this business. Don't get in this business. So
he didn't want you to be a musician?
No.
Oh, wow.
He said, yeah, so I got married, had kids, 2 boys in Michigan. And that sucked worse. So, I mean, not the kids and but 2 marriages were just, that's a mess. So at the end of my second marriage, I decided that's when I said, okay, sorry, Dad, I'm doing it anyway. And began and started, and I opened up an old address book, and there was my buddy Floyd Tom Skinner that I previously had talked about making music with. And sure enough, his phone number was still the same. I'm like, dude, he says, yeah, let's make an album. So Hard Labor Creek comes out, my first album. And
That was what year?
that was 2010.
So
It came out 2009, but it was about 4 years of work that went into it.
well, when did you discover that you had that you had the acuity for music? I mean,
I have to take people's word for it that I even know what I'm doing. I can't actually play any of these things. I look at it, all my life I wanted these things so that I could learn them, but now you get them at 55 years old. I'm 58 now, but I've had it 5 years. So, but now you get it, and it's like, oh yeah, now I can learn to play anything. Yeah, okay. I'm at the point of having to relearn to tie my shoes at my age now. So now it just I dabble in it, and basically what I've determined is I can hear wrong things, but I can't tell you what's right.
Well, okay.
That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. And then I'll shut up. I'm like, well, that might be it. But I have an ear. I guess people all along in my life, people said I can hear music real well. I can hear things, and but the ability to play, I have not. I want to grab a hold of it and sound like a badass right off. I want it. I don't want to marry head a little, which that's a great song, but I just don't want to sound bad.
Right.
So
And you write all your own music.
I write the words with a tempo, because I did as a kid. My mom got me a child's drum set as I was probably 13. We had a really good year. 1 year, 13. The Learjet pilot passed away, and it took like 10 years to get. As you heard earlier, it took 10 years to get any financial thing from it. And Melvin Belli was our lawyer, so we got next to nothing. But at the moment, it seemed rich, like we've just all of a sudden had everything. And like anyone that gets a large amount of money, my mom and George made terrible mistakes, drugs, everything out. So within 2 years, the money was gone. The giant house they bought was gone. They moved to a trailer in Arkansas, and that was where I returned to Michigan, and then I went to Arkansas because they weren't in Michigan anymore. They'd sold the house, they'd lost the house and moved to a little trailer in Arkansas. So I went there, and I said, okay, I can't be here. So then from then on, I was on my own. And it was it's a strange life. I expected a lot. I expected more out of life, that people would be amazed. Oh, you're Greg Allman's son. You should be boo. Yeah, and come to find out, my dad was right. So now I own all my record labels. I own everything we do. Floyd Skinner and I own.
Yeah.
I don't.
That was actually one thing I did read about you.
Right.
You write your own stuff.
Yeah.
You own your own stuff. You never took a record deal with somebody.
No, I look for distribute, and that's my albums are fun and good. My favorite thing about them is I make sure that I can put the whole thing in and listen to it. You do not wind up hearing one long song. And that's the only advice I ever give anybody that's making a record. Please make certain you're using little different instruments in another song, because when you put any one of my CDs in, they're not. Well, I've put plenty of CDs in from people, and then by the third song, you've heard the band, you've heard everything. Okay. No matter how many more there are to come, they're just kind of all sound the same. And they don't. So yeah, and I write, Floyd writes. And then we take some really cool covers. But this is going to be a few days, so I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag, since when it airs, the cat will be out of the bag.
All right.
I covered Sundown, Gordon Lightfoot.
Okay.
On this newest, my new album will be at my doorstep in 2 days.
And we're getting it first.
Yeah. So I can talk about it a little bit. But I did. Now I'm going to draw a blank. Wait a minute. Smokey Robinson's. We did. I'll Be Doggone.
Oh yeah.
I'll be doggone. Yep. I redid that one. So it's real, and I'll play it for y'all while you tear down, so you can hear it. I got it on my phone. But it's really fun. And then everything else Skinner and I wrote.
That's incredible. Now that was
Creature of Habit's what it's called. I wrote Creature of Habit, the words.
Okay.
and the melody. I wrote a melody, but I just kind of hum it. I tap my foot and hum, and then the band better
Somebody
figure it out.
picks it up. Yeah,
Somebody
exactly,
figure out.
exactly.
Somebody figure out what to do with
Where am I at,
that.
I read something about your father's advice to you, and I thought, and it sticks into my head.
Yeah.
Don't sign.
Yeah, my
anything.
father gave me 2 pieces of advice one time. He said, "Don't sign anything, and don't sign anything."
So that is probably one of the things that helps you or instills in you to be your own
That's
self-made guy.
over the years, over 25 years, when people will come to me, and the first thing that goes into their head, they go, Allman, cha-ching, their head. Like they're gonna, oh, look what I found. No, you didn't find me. I've been wandering around for a while. And then as soon as they don't get rich within 5 minutes, they start telling me what to do. And there's one thing that really isn't possible. It's to tell me what to do. I love somebody can ask me. I'll consider anything I'm asked. But people just get fed up and tired. They think it's supposed to happen overnight. I already went through that. I know it don't happen overnight.
Right.
And then it come to find out I don't necessarily want it to happen. That happened thing being, a boy band, which, growing up, I wanted to be in a boy band. You mentioned Motley Crue a little while. Man, I wanted to be in Motley Crue. I was like, yeah, that's me. I don't want to do that.
Could you imagine if he was in like In Sync or something?
Not you.
No way.
No. That suit don't fit.
Yep, but in
Michael
your
Allman
mind, all together now. The Beatles are my favorite boy band. But
Okay, there you go.
they started that.
Hey, not a bad group to be modeled after either. Wow. But no, that's not your suit. Yeah, that's
No, none of it really worked out. So now everything's Michael Allman. It's just
Okay.
me, I have guests and hired guns on the albums. Sometimes I'll squirt in some of my band members, like Ronnie Ray. He's playing on my newest one. Mark Chain played a little. I think he might have. I don't know if he actually played anything on there or not. We did a song together. His song New Day, a while back in the studio. That was cool.
But it was funny, the way when you first moved here, right? Obviously, I had Bourbon Street in Port Richey, and one day somebody comes to me and they go, "Hey, you got Michael Allman here. He's out there. They're doing a, open jam." I'm like, "Michael Allman, Greg Allman's kid?" I go, "Yeah." And they're like, "Dude, he sounds just like him." I'm like, "For real?" And I see on the camera, and I go out there, and I came over, introduced myself. You were there with a couple people, and he went up and he was playing with a couple guys in the band. Now, one of the things I've always seen whenever he plays, he goes up. There's like a bar stool. He just grabs the mic and he just sits down. It's not like you say, you don't play instruments or nothing, right? But it was one of those deals where everybody in the room just sat there. It was like, wow.
There you go.
And I know you go out and you jump up on stage here locally in Newport Richey all the time.
Yeah.
And
Whiskey River.
Yeah, like
I play there every so often, but I only do it if it doesn't matter who you are. When you're where you live, you're just another dude.
Yeah.
I go wandering.
That's where I was going with that. You're just very down to earth. I mean, like everybody just came over, took a picture, hung out.
Yeah.
Like.
That's why. I mean, I don't book a lot. Every so often, I'll book a show at Whiskey River because I love that place. I eat there and hang out there, and that's. I've been kicked out of there like twice.
It's home. Yeah.
And the good ones let you back.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's funny though, because when you're a vocalist, you are dependent on the people that are there to back you up.
Very much so.
Because I know that when I did it, I don't play either, but anytime that I had to perform or do anything else like that, I hear in my head what I think it's supposed to be, but I can't make any of that happen.
Nope.
And you are totally at the mercy of the people that literally surround you.
Yep. It's very important for the people on the stage. Well, yeah, I always get this line when I'm looking around to see who can play what. I said, can you play any Allman Brothers music? And they, I can play anything. If that's their response, I'm like, see you later.
Yeah.
The answer I want is, I've been playing the Allman Brothers all my life. That's what we're looking for.
I need you to know.
You have to know, You know, it's important to me to be similar, and if you're going to cover something, you better cover it right. That's just all there is to it. And so when I have a smaller band, which Wayne Scott Brown, I do a smaller band. It's his band, and then I just do a guest to do stuff right around in here, because my band's 7 pieces. We've got organ, and you know, we carry large amounts of stuff. So mine's expensive. So in order to get me out a little bit more, I tried to help my buddy get, you know, a little more people watching him, which successfully did, Wayne Scott Brown. And he's fun. He's a little more of a rocker. He was probably more into Motley Crue to be in it for real back then. Like, I thought that'd be cool, but it was the wrong kind of music. Well, of course I sounded like that when I was that age, because until cigarettes and whiskey came along, I sounded like Steve Perry.
Oh, wow. Okay. The whole range, huh?
Well, I emulated Steve Perry. I always laugh if somebody says, "What do you compare?" I'm Steve Perry meets Greg Allman, or an old blues guy, you know, a young boy, because I learned the diaphragm use from singing along with Steve Perry. There's only one way to do that, and that's to use your diaphragm. You can't even sing along with him if you're not using. So eventually, I learned how to do that.
Did you ever take vocal lessons?
Nah, not a one.
Just natural.
Listening to 101 WRIF, baby, out of Detroit. I listened to all that, you know, the Doors, listening and just singing along. That was was all I could do to really gather him. I didn't have the opportunity. My mama was too busy dealing with sickness and happy she had a boyfriend, that I didn't really matter. I was a second. So I didn't get I didn't have good clothes to go in school and be cool. I didn't have instruments around the house I could learn on. I couldn't take extracurricular school classes. There was no money for that. So, you know, when the time came, that's why I didn't do it. I was like, okay, I don't know nothing. What am I going to do? And until I made my first album. And as soon as I did that, I went, well, I go now, if somebody else, Mule Name Whiskey or Dreams or Money, if I hit once, if one person yells out from the crowd a song of mine, that is the greatest feeling ever. And I don't know if I usually, like, I don't have my bands learn all the songs on the albums. So hopefully they yell one they know.
Or if you're out there playing, you see people singing along.
And singing along, yep, singing along my songs. Or I stop, Mule Name Whiskey, and the crowd singing. It was like, oh, you know my stuff.
Well, do you think that makes you? I find that musicians, singers who come from that kind of a background are stronger in what they're doing, or a lot of ways better. Without the formality of training, there's a certain sound and a resonance in them that you don't get in a lot of the formally educated and trained artists, and particularly singers. It's like gospel singers. None of us went to school or anything else like that.
Yeah,
you learn that
every Sunday.
Yeah, you went there, you did it.
I started with karaoke. My first thing, have you ever seen the rain? It was the first song I ever sang in front of somebody. And it was karaoke night in Lawrence, South Carolina, and I walked up on stage because really I felt bad. My buddy was up there destroying it. So I said, let me help you out here. And it was great. It was like, wow, deepness came out. All these sounds came out right. And I went, well, okay.
I might have something
here.
Well, you think, all these people, these younger generation, they go to Berkeley and they're so trained. I mean, they're great at playing guitar, drums, or whatever at 16, 18 years old.
Mathematical geniuses.
This was just your path.
Yeah, this is just, I listened to, I don't really know what it's just. I wound up making a record, and then I made another one. My second one got not destroyed, but shadowed over by COVID. The title of the album was Roman numerals 2020, MMXX.
Oh man,
2020 was going to be. Yeah. It was the second best year of my singing of my shows in my history. My second best year was going to be 2020. And in March of 2020, my record was supposed to come out. Well, we all know what happened March 2020.
Exactly.
Since the title was that, we changed the title to a song, Blues Travels Fast, 2020. I kept it on it's right there. And but then trying to, hey, everybody, check this album out while we're all thinking about dying because, looking like Darth Vader. It just kind of got overshadowed. So hopefully what I'm hoping now is that when this new one's coming out any day, literally, I've been saying that for weeks, but now literally any day, it's probably out by now. It's Creature of Habit, and it has, I love it. It's it's got a great gospel sound.
Okay.
I in fact say the word Jesus about 11 times on it. One song's called Cardboard Jesus, and it's for ever since the second album, Floyd Skinner's been coming to me talking about. I said, man, I got this thing in my head. It's called Cardboard Jesus. I said, dude. He told me the story. He says, yeah, man, in Atlanta, a tornado came through Atlanta and bounced over one of the buildings along its way. The Cardboard Jesus that was propped up out front didn't even fall over.
Oh man.
So this years and years ago, we've got the Cardboard Jesus. We went back because I told him, I said, nobody's going to believe us. You're going to tell that story? How are we going to put that in a song?
Is it here?
What? No, I don't have it here. I wish, yeah, but he's got access to it. The woman that owns a business, he went and talked with her after we started writing it, and she said, "I've still got that in my storage. I've still got that Cardboard Jesus."
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it turned into a different type song where we're not telling the story. If we told you, would you believe us about that Cardboard Jesus? And there's no story about the actual Cardboard Jesus. It's just a matter of, it turned into, if we want to talk a little bit about religion, why people just, they want to freak out. So we want to sing a song about, look, Jesus didn't fall over in a hurricane. So I kept saying no. I'm like, dude, I don't even like the idea. Who's gonna, And then he comes in with the lyric, with the words written, the bridge written. If we told you, would you believe us about this Cardboard Jesus? So it turned into, don't be afraid of gospel stuff. Jesus, going to church. You don't want to drink and smoke anymore? Go to church.
That is
It's the exact same type of gathering. It's
right. That's a great inspirational. I love that, man.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Like I said, when this comes out, you'll have heard it by then. But I'll play it for you when we're done.
Okay. We're getting
It's
it first.
really cool.
This is cool. Timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
It's funny. Since we started doing this podcast, I always say I learned something about Mr. Perry. Every time he drops some nugget of, I used to dance. Or I used to do this.
So we've known each other for years.
Yeah, but he's a preacher kid. So and that to me was pretty crazy because.
So you had a bout of time where you didn't know what to do.
Well, kind of.
Did you ever venture out of the realm of goodness?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's
That's
exactly the same as having a famous father. That's you have an audience. It's God. So you got a little harder one to make happy. And then with all that pressure, you can't take it. So you become hellion.
And my father was kind of a famous guy too. Yeah, not only
same exact principle. So you can get. Look, I got a little goosebumps. But you can kind of grasp what I'm going through. Same thing. Similar thing. Very similar thing.
When I first met him, he was running one of the wildest clubs in Tampa.
Yeah. It was entertainment.
That's entertainment.
It was entertainment. So yeah, that's incredible. It really.
Yeah,
is.
This is going to be a fun album. It's just a nice album. I don't know. I like my albums. I enjoy playing my albums. That's what I like.
Not everybody can say that because I've talked to artists who are like, well, I got a good song on there, but the rest is just, okay with it. But
I cannot have that happen.
The pressure to produce now, to put something out there, I think overrides the quality that most artists wish they were putting out.
I don't put that burden on my bands.
That's a good thing.
It's very difficult to get them all in one mood, to have them in and out. Like a lot live recordings, there's videos. Those are all my bands. I got one in Philly, and then I had me and Mark Shane had the Michael Allman band here for years, and it was awesome. Sorry if I lost my thought there. I don't know if I got it or not.
No, you definitely got it. No doubt.
So when I had reached out to you, to sit down with you here and try to figure out what calendar day was going to work, you had said. You were taking off going to Georgia. So Obviously, your normal summer touring and your gigs. Where are you headed?
July. I've got 3 weeks out of Philly, but 90% of it's in New Jersey. We've got a couple of festivals and some really good stuff. I have a hard-working band in Philly. They hard work every day while I'm not there, even with separate bands and everything. And then when I come up, they built 10 years ago, they put the best of the best around, and it's like 5 different band members, but it's, basically the leader of each of those bands is in my band when I show up. So they immediately filled with their fans, and then new Allman fans joined. So now they've got tons of new, it's just it's a neat thing. But trying to get the band, I did try to take my band in the studio once, and it's just a headache.
Yeah.
You get a hired gun, they barely know you. They come in with bells on. There's nothing other than, I'm gonna play a little bit from Michael Allman. All right, on his album, cool. And they're studio pros. You get in and get out, and you know how to do
Sure.
that. My band guys they're live. They want to play. And if it's when they hear it, go back and listen to it. I don't like none of that. Let's do it again. And they probably never will. And it just became so.
They're playing.
Yeah, and the other guys, when the pros come in, they'll play the exact same thing. So, hey, we missed one of those notes. Can you play it again? They'll play it identical. So, we can get the idea of things, and it's faster. They come in, do their spot, do their job. We can ship it. My buddy in California played on half the album. That was awesome, and he produced it, helped me produce it.
This album that you have coming out now,
Yeah.
how long did it take for you to work on it?
4 years due to hurricanes.
Oh man.
As soon as we finished that one, we started working on another one, and we had to. And so ever since then, we had actually started prior to that one being finished. We started the second one a little bit, but yeah, we've had serious drawbacks. Oh, one didn't hit here. He had a hurricane hit the studio. I go down to Pine Island, Bokeelia, Bokeelia and Matlacha, which that's 2 different songs on my new album, Matlacha and Bokeelia. I released Bokeelia already. I got antsy, so we made a video and everything. I put out Bokeelia on a video, and then weeks later, the rest of the album was supposed to come out, and yet again, another delay. So now Bokeelia is out there all by itself. Everybody's waiting for the rest of the album, and it's another year away.
Man.
But finally, we got it all done, all settled, and it's gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's out already, so I'm telling you guys it's gorgeous, and you ain't heard it yet, but when you see this, you'll already know.
So now, where are you playing in Philly? Philly's a great musical.
It's magnificent.
City.
I love going up there.
I guess a lot of artists, R&B artists and rock artists, and came out of Philadelphia, which I guess is where they coined the Philadelphia sound. It's definitely unique. So, do you incorporate a lot of that in some of what you do?
I imagine everything I've ever done, it comes out in what I do, but that's the coolness of having a Philadelphia band, because the Philadelphians can relate so well. Then you throw an Allman on top, and they're digging it.
There you go.
It's just a lot of fun and real good.
I like it, man.
So I remember years ago when Screwy Louie's Porpoise Pub.
Oh, Devin's poster.
Yeah, when Louie had that.
I got
Devin
Devin's
came down.
poster. Yeah, I got the poster from that hanging right there. When Devin was playing there at Screwy
Yeah.
Louie's. It burned down shortly after that.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's got Scooter Haven.
Yeah,
He's up there with the Scooter.
That was a great bond. Him, because I went out to Scooter Haven before he was out there, and it was cool. It was just, but it got a little campsite. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We played a little music, but mostly we got drunk. I haven't been there since since Louis joined them. I've seen stuff that they've done, but I haven't really gone out there.
So have you?
Yeah,
Have you done anything else with family at all?
We just recently got. Well, we don't know. All we are, Devin and I, is 2 different people. He's a St. Louis dude, and I'm a Florida dude, and we just ain't really crossed paths. And if he's anything like me, I don't know how much I'd want an older brother. I mean, I don't. I just, that's an odd. Never having one. Never having you know, and then kind of you run into them and you say hi and you try to be polite, and then how do you make a?
You guys didn't grow up together.
Not at all. Not at all. Not ever. Not at all. We laid eyes on each other. Probably moments like that. I think I did see him one time earlier somewhere else, and I sang there too. But my drummer at the time that got fired that night showed his ass because he couldn't play drums.
Oh.
So it made me look really bad at my brother's show because my drummer's being an asshole. Because why can't I go? I said, dude, you just got hired 3 weeks ago. I'm not gonna call you up for the first time I get up with my brother. And we got in a fight. By the time he got back, I beat his ass in Janie's front yard. I was always afraid to fight a drummer because, you know, I'm but no, not so much.
One of those come to Jesus moments.
One of them, you know, I've had enough. Dude, that was the greatest moment. I get on stage with my brother. I'm having a great time, and there you are, right there, causing a scene. You ruined it. He ruined it. So yeah, I was highly pissed. I mean, I got a terrible reputation as it is. I do not need somebody else making it worse.
I knew people that say, look, I can do bad all by myself.
I can do bad all by myself. I swear I can.
Very cool. Very cool.
I did, speaking of which, I did 75 days in Pasco County jail. There's a song on here called Pasco County Blues. It's the first day of November. I got 75 days to go. And it goes on like that. January 13th, I finally won at solitaire.
Finally won at solitaire.
Judge said, son, you can't lose your temper no more. It's hilarious. It's a funny, and I wrote it sitting right there. And I actually wrote it, first thing you do is you make a calendar to count 75 days on so you can know when you're getting the hell out. And every day it had something written on it. And about halfway through, I went, oh, there's a song in there. And then I started looking, and I went, and there's a whole song. Hold on, November. So, you know, by the time I got out, it was about a 45-minute song.
He's in there singing, it's January now.
It's 2017. It's a new day, Christmas. It's Christmas in here today. Yeah. And there's no chorus, there's no nothing. It's just steady blues. There is a musical break after Christmas, so it's funny. Thanksgiving, I mentioned it. I had taken the 3 months off to go see my newborn grandson. And my show's built right up to it, and then I smacked a guy in a bar. He wouldn't quit spit talking me.
Oh, wow.
He's leaning over me. I'm sitting there talking with my buddy who just told me he had throat cancer, and I'm freaking out. And this dude, like drunk, his girlfriend swallowed up in between us. And I was just nothing but, and I asked him kindly to quit spitting on me. And my lawyer said, you can't see spit in the video. He said, it looks like you jumped over the bar and beat the shit out of him. I said, well, all I did was stand up. You know, just for the record, I was, you know, I'm 6, you know, and he didn't care. The guy got Baker acted 2 days later, too. They didn't even find that out.
Oh, man.
So basically, I paid a crappy lawyer, and I took the 90 days. Just quickly. I was like, okay, well, shut up, fine, I'll go do 90 days.
You know, it's funny.
Came out, couldn't button my pants. Everybody mailed me honey buns. It was freaking hilarious. I had more mail in there than anyone ever got.
We were talking about getting older. Yeah, we were talking about getting older and how much we can't take anymore. You know, you just get to a certain age where I don't want to be that guy anymore. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And yeah, absolutely. I'll be nice if you let me.
Every musician that goes into jail for whatever reason it is, when they come out, they always have an album.
I got a whole album. I was going to make a whole album called Pasco County Blues, and then over the couple years, 17. Since then, it's kind of got small. But I always talk with Skinner about what we're doing, and he says, I think let's do Pasco County. And let's see what we come up with that. So then all I do is sing it. He'll play the guitar and I'll sing it. And roughly 75% of what you hear is that first moment of me singing. There's not really ever a time that I have to go back, because I guess once it comes out of my mouth, that's how it's gonna come out every time. If I don't like it, I fix it right then. Wait a minute, hold on. And then I get it out for the bass, for the track, you know, the scratch vocals, and they wind up staying.
Okay.
In so much so that I'm happy with that. So I go in, and it starts with just me and an acoustic guitar. is how we start the albums. And we physically write them right there in the studio. We don't write them, play them out, and then go record them. Me and Skinner get ideas, get them close, and then we go to the studio.
That's hardcore, man.
And we literally make it up right there while we're there. We've had these ideas for years, like Creature of Habit. I've had since Mule Name Whiskey days. This album title is Creature of Habit. That song I had in my head 20 years ago. Man. And my buddy Skinner remembered it all those 20 years. And he mentioned it on the other album. I'm like, I don't really have anything. I got the song I wrote, but there's something wrong with it. I got to fix it. And I did. So he said, well, let's do it. So I went, all right, let's fix it. So I rewrote it because it had they come out with it as a story. When I write things, there's still songs, there's bridges and all that. But when I put it on paper, I can't play one of these things. So I can't sit there and go, and, oh, yeah. Or, so it comes out more, I don't want to say poem, but it could rhyme.
It's got a cadence to it.
It's got a cadence. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's got a cadence to it. My dad, the first instrument I did touch as a youngin' was drums, so I do luckily have a great beat, which is important for any other instrument. So it's also important for writing. So I can tap my foot and figure out my song. And from there, everybody else better figure out what's going on.
Here, get a piece of
What do you mean you don't know this? Come on. That's right. How hard is that? Come on.
The reason why you get to go in and just put it together as you're doing it is because you are in control of it. If you had a record label and you said, I'm going to the studio, they'd be like, well, what do you got? And you'd be like, well, we'll figure it out. They'd be like, that ain't how this works.
Yeah, I got it. Come on. So, everybody loves that. It's good stuff.
My father always taught me that's the hardest thing about a vision, though, because no matter how much you share it, no one will ever see it the same exact way you see it.
Nope.
The most they're going to do is get an interpretation of your vision, but they're never going to have your vision. It's a hard thing.
It's hard. It's hard to convey how you felt. That's like that. And if you do, well, then people enjoy. They'll listen to it more than once.
Right.
If they can feel your feeling, they'll listen to it more than one time.
Because it resonates. It absolutely resonates.
And that's fact. Because there's lots of songs I have heard that song. I have heard that song. I don't put many on. I don't go out of my way to play much. I put. What I do put on specifically what I want to hear. Mm-hmm. It's coinciding with whatever mood I'm in. And if you don't do that, well, then you're not, I don't know what the point is. That's just rattling 6 songs together that winds up sounding like one, and look, so.
Do you ever record stuff here or at home take it?
I was just getting set up to do that. We're going to experiment a little more on that because this album we've noticed we have to plan 3 days to go to the studio. So I'm going to try and I got to find something close here or set it up in here, but I don't know how to do that either. So at that point, I would have equipment that I don't know how to run. So I'm not, no, not really.
You're not the sound engineer guy.
I'm not the sound engineer. I'm the guy that goes, what the hell is that? That sounds like shit. but and then I'm like, okay, I like that. And then but the best I'll say is I like that. And then wait and see what everybody else does.
I've seen several artists now where, back in the day, the normal thing was you went into the studio and you cut an album. And then now it seems like a lot of people have home studios, right? They have home studios. Especially the guys that have the money, to do that. But then, there's something to be said about that organic, that sound where cars are driving by on 19, and
there's a lot to that.
And it's that organic sound that a lot of the younger artists they're going for,
Artificial intelligence is taking over everything.
Yes, it is.
The only way you're going to know if it's not is if you can find a little tiny mistake here and there, a reality check, a vocal, a voice, a sound, something that hasn't been a trail out. This artificial intelligence is going to be hard to beat, and it's going to take over. Music won't be. Music is a distraction to the lifestyle that the higher ups want. The lowers, they want us working, working, making money, paying the taxes, doing all that stuff. They don't. I just think music's going to become easy and boring.
Well, do you think that technology has contributed to the reemergence of vinyl in music? Because I find
Exactly
people
on the
gravitating right back to vinyl because that real organic sound, the hissing, the popping, and all of the things that make
as long as it's not
music
too
music.
much, it does.
No,
as
yeah,
long as
but
it's not,
there's, but there's a quality
occasional
that's
pop that
missing in digital and now AI that you can't. And you figure, well, with technology, why can't you recreate that? Because that's organic.
That's organic.
You know,
you can't you can't exactly.
So I got that feeling that maybe that's what's fueling the return and the reemergence of
well,
vinyl.
it's funny with that reemergence of vinyl. If you look at what they're doing now with vinyl, they're going back and they're digitally remastering, right?
Mhm.
And then putting that on
Vinyl.
So the new vinyls that you see in like Walmart and Target,
That's not the same.
Right.
it's not.
That's a CD burned to an album.
Yes. So
Yeah,
it
you
is
actually
a
got to get
crisper.
the old one.
It's a crisper sound.
It sounds lovely. It
But
sounds
it isn't.
wonderful.
Like, you know, when we put a record on and hit it and you hear that right before the song starts.
There's about 300 Allman Brothers albums. Every Allman Brothers albums I can get my hands on is right back
Right
there.
there.
And I love listening to.
Yeah.
I've got some that are bootlegs from a certain concert.
Oh,
So
man.
they're live. So you put it on there, it's a live album. So there's nothing cooler than that. That's the epitome of all those things we just said, hearing something. And it's the Allman Brothers too. So there's long songs and there's just crowd you can hear. So I think live music's going to get, if people need to do, they should put out a live song. First thing any band should do is put out an album because, you know, Devin, when I first talked with Devin, I said, hey, you want to do something together? You know, I couldn't have been 20, 19, 20, 21, 22. And he looked at me like I was an idiot. And I said, well, what? We'd be an Allman Brothers band. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It is, but his response was, man, you ain't even put an album out yet.
Oh.
And I went, oh, it's true. So
How
he
many
said, so
had
you
he
just
had
want to
at that
jump
time?
on? I don't know, but he certainly did.
But he had
I don't know specifically, but he certainly did have albums out already.
Okay.
So that was the main inspiration, you know, a very large portion of, okay, I got to put an album out. And that's that. And now I'm on my third, and it's awesome. And he's doing the awesome shows with, you know, Wet Willie. He's doing the big Allman Brothers production type stuff right now, and it's pretty decent. It fills the void for that. I'm leaning that way live to play, you know, just because I'm playing them, not because, but just I enjoy playing the Allman Brothers music. I've been singing along all my life, so I can, you know. I sound like him. I sound similar to him anyway.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to ask, there was a video that I saw that after your dad had passed away, you had gone to, I guess, Macon, Georgia. That's where it's at. The burial.
Burial, yeah.
And I remember that everything was fenced in, right? The grave area was all fenced in. But I remember when you were driving, all the people that were lined up.
Yeah, there was
all of the
full.
All of the people that recognized that it was you.
In the limos, I was in the back limo, and no one joined me for whatever reason. Again, I have a bad reputation, so I had a couple friends of mine in the last car, and I had my windows down, waving at all the people that were standing in the sun to honor my father.
Sure.
So I was literally the only one with my window. You couldn't see in any of the other ones, but yeah, that's the people yelling, saying hi, Michael. And,
yeah, I just remember that. You know, everybody was so, you know, that's Michael, that's Michael. Like you know. So when you go back, I'm assuming you visited, right? Since then,
yeah.
You know, you go up there. Do you find that the diehard Allman Brothers fans, they just come up? I mean, they just embrace you, like, you know.
I moved to Macon a while back and tried to see if I could get something started there. And honestly, no, I got more animosity than I got anything. I don't know if it was, I don't know, it's like the town seems to be tired of it, but they're not. If it wasn't for the college and a few people, all the Allman Brothers stuff would have collapsed. I don't know. It's a touchy thing with me in Macon. I don't know. I don't. I mean, it actually all began in Daytona anyway. So I just, I got, and my friend Boo Boo comes up here and he dies on right in front of my store right there, alcohol poisoning, 3.5, 0.30, 0.35. And I didn't realize it. So I'm still drinking. And then he goes out and sits down and dies. Man. And everybody in Macon said, I killed him. So now I'm being called a murderer. We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with, a year later of COVID. And my best friend, I couldn't even mourn him because Macon wanted to kill me so bad.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, guys, I said, just shut him, wait for the autopsy. They're going to, he went out there, sat down, propped his, and I left him sitting there because I thought he was asleep. He looked so comfortable. It was like 2 a.m. They had driven up from Pine Island. Him and some young girl that had opinions that just. Anyway, so that I don't know. I go to when I go see my dad now. I just sneak in, sneak out. I just don't even. I don't know what's going on in Macon. I don't know if people like that's a drag that all they're known for is the Allman Brothers. That's a pretty damn cool thing to be known for, if you ask me. But I don't really I don't know much about Macon. Famous Mike's, I love it. No matter when I walk in the door there, they love me. But I quit trying to do anything there because it all turned into, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's just no love there.
No love there.
Well, it's not for you. Everything in every place.
Individuals, some individuals now. There's lots of folks that do love me in Macon, but not enough for me to go up there and try and do anything. I don't even quite understand that.
Well, Macon was your father. Newport Richie is Michael.
Yeah, right. There we go.
There you go.
I'm a Florida boy for sure. Daytona's about to put up a big deal about the Allman Brothers beginning there. It's Floyd Miles' song "Going Back to Daytona." I redid that on my second album, "Going Back to Daytona," and that he's talking about going back to the days of when my father was hanging around there in the '60s. Before I was conceived in '65. Outside a bar. Allman Brothers didn't begin until '69. So my mom was a go-go dancer. My dad was a guitar. He was playing surfer music for them to go to in the bars. And it was probably one of the greatest times ever. Floyd Miles shows up, and then he's talking about all these cool people that are from Daytona. And my dad moved to Jacksonville. My mom said my grandpa put a gun to his head, said, "You got my daughter pregnant." So they split and went to Jacksonville, and that's where they were discovered and moved to Macon.
Oh, wow.
So, they were physically picked up from Jacksonville and moved to Macon, Georgia. And it looks like they come from Macon, Georgia. They started making money in Macon. A couple years after they got there, because if it was, the H&H would feed them at the back door. They'd be at the back door like hippie turkeys, like, hey, and Mama Louise would feed them well when she could. So at that era, it was probably the greatest thing in the world to be in Macon, Georgia. Just, according to Floyd Miles, for sure. But yeah, it's. So I'm doing a little bit with the Daytona stuff that they're talking about, because I know that's where it began, because that's where I began, and I was right smack in the middle of the beginning. I come out a little greasy, but.
Well, your identity is here.
Yeah, I'm a Florida boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Central Florida is my home. I did move. I do like it over here because I found out I like sunsets better than sunrises. Every time I see a sunrise, we know I'm. No.
If you watch the sunrise, you out to.
Yeah, I didn't wake up to see the sunrise.
Are there any musicians that you want to work with? You'd like to like you have a bucket list, like before I die, I would love to work with so and so.
Just Devin. Just my brother Devin.
Yep.
I think it'd be cool if we just at least did something.
All right.
As we are Allman brothers. Elijah, but Elijah's music's real heavy, so I don't know. I always thought that'd be cool with any of them or all of them, even the three of us. But just for the sheer, that's what we are. Here we are, an Allman Brothers band. I just always thought that'd go over pretty well.
There you go.
Now Elijah is
Shares,
right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever talk to him?
I have both. I have both their phone numbers. That's one of the stories I wandered off on. We grew up. We all grew up differently. Different mothers. Different. And I always think in my head, well, Devin is lucky. I'm lucky. We had at least one grounded parent. Elijah had Greg Allman and Cher. I mean, I don't know. I know how hard it is to have one of my parents being. Having two must be worse. I would think it's worse.
So damn near impossible.
Yeah, or I would think damn near impossible. I mean, I don't just the kids from that Cher's kids are having troubles. Mm-hmm. I mean, but she was super famous. My dad was super famous, and they just didn't have anyone to. Even though my mom wasn't there much, she was still there. She was there. She was in the hospital most of the times all my life, in and out of hospitals. And she really didn't have a lot of time to make my life any better or worse. But I had a roof over my head, and I ate all my life. And that was
At least with Elijah, he probably didn't have any parents to tell him no.
Yeah, exactly right. There was no one.
It was just a party for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just unknown. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine what it's hard. So it's hard for us in my coming from me. It's hard for us to talk because we don't know anything about each other, and all of us are used to people coming into our lives with their own intentions. Yeah. And I think we most likely treat each other the same way. What are your intentions? What do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want?
Yeah.
And we're all used to that. What is your purpose? Why are you here? Are you here to help? People always say they're here I'm here to help you. No, they're not.
Right. Do you find it hard to, like you say, everybody always has intentions. Everybody always has a reason. Yep. Do you find that most people that want to attach to you, it's always for the Allman name or for something?
There's dollar signs Scrooge McDuck used to get.
Yeah,
that's what people look at me like. They think they're oh, look what I found. That's my favorite. I love it when they say, "All right, I just found my." No, I've been doing this for 10. I'm laying low. But that's what my father was getting at: is I can do whatever I want. I can't be shelved because I won't cooperate or I won't do what they tell me. I won't do my record any particular way because someone says so. I won't do anything because somebody says so. I actually blew off one. I made an error in judgment a long time ago when I forgot their name, but they're the biggest people now that handle bands. And I had one on the phone and I was talking with him for about a week, and Facebook was just kind of coming out. And I'm honest on Facebook. I'll say anything, whatever. And I was told I shouldn't do that. Quit telling people everything on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, they were right, but that's not. I didn't. Don't tell me what to do. So I figured out. Okay, you don't have to stay 24/7 on Facebook. It became an addiction sort of, and I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. There's a better way to do this. It was like I was getting all anything that was good I got from Facebook, all the love. And
most artists have other people handle their social media.
I think that's not really fair because these people think they're talking to the famous person. I run all three of my pages. I keep losing my passwords and crap like that, but I literally run mine. If it wasn't me, it would say, not Michael Allman, but well, let's talk about Michael or something. I wouldn't want someone acting like they're me. You know what I mean? I would not be okay with that. There's a lot of things I wouldn't be able. Don't sign anything because they'll tell you what to do.
And in a way, when you're on Facebook, you're signing something. So if it's coming out, you're signing it. You know,
that's me. I'm right behind, and I'm right behind all that I say, you can't hide nothing in this world. I mean, the internet prevents any bullshit. You can find out the truth about anything you want. Just Google it.
It's funny. When we were doing interviews with musicians at Mayhem Magazine, and then also with Bourbon Street, we bring in national artists, and I became friends with some of them. You end up at dinner with them, or they fly into town because they're going to Orlando, and I'd meet them for lunch or something, right? And I'll never forget, I made a statement to one of them. I won't mention the name, but I said to him, and this was off the record, I said, what's the phrase, man? It's lonely at the top. And he looked at me straight as can be, and he goes, "You have no idea. I have no real friends." Yeah. And I guess when he said that, it hit me.
Yeah, it hit you.
Because, like you say, everybody always comes to you. They want something.
All of my I'm semi-retired electrician, so I still do electrical work. I work for a sound guy. I get out and I make friends, and then later I tell them I'm Michael Allman. Once I realize they're my friend, or they're taking me serious, I'm just a dude and they don't know none of that, I can usually judge that, okay, well, they say like me, they like me, but you know what I mean, they like me, and then I might tell, like just yesterday, I was in an attic yesterday.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Right?
Florida attics stink.
But after I got done, the guy was like, "Man, great job. Thank y'all so much. Oh, hey, I got some electric work I need down in the basement." And I said, "Okay, that's cool. But I tell you what, I never know when I'm in town. I bounce in and out at shows. And that's the lead in for them to go, huh? Now, oh, yeah, I'm Michael Allman. I'm Greg Allman's firstborn son." And they go, "No, and I love that. They never had the chance. And then it's like, oh, cool. I said, yeah, Google it.
Yeah, just Google it.
I always say Google it. Ignore some of them police parts. Life was rough. They pop up right away. But then there's another thing. So you try to,
the genuine article.
If you have somebody else running your page and somebody asks one of those questions about your personal life, and maybe you don't want to answer it. So then somebody just says, oh, well, they make up some bullshit answer.
Sure.
And I'll either say none of your business, or I'll tell them what it was. I got there's some things on my record that make people think I'm an asshole. Well, I mean, I'm an asshole, but make people think I'm worse than I am. My reputation is worse than I am.
Well, that's gonna take me to a memory thing, because I could ask, what's the worst memory? But you know what? I think we've covered a good portion of the difficulties.
Difficulties are plenty.
Tell me one of your best memories. Doesn't have to be all, but at least just one.
Man, 1979.
You know it cold, don't you?
In Detroit at the Renaissance Center. I forgot where they were playing, but I got the pleasure of rubbing elbows with the entire band of Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, man. Nice.
And it had very little to do with being Greg Allman's son. My mom, we had actually gotten that money I was talking about from my stepfather. So she actually literally bought Renaissance Center rooms and tickets for the show, and persistently said, hey, we want to. So we wound up backstage. They wound up back, as Christine, Stevie, and Mick wound up back in the hotel, in the Renaissance hotel room with us, sitting right there having a good old time. My grandmother was there.
Oh, man.
And she just passed. My mom just passed. I'm the last one in that memory, besides members of Fleetwood Mac. But that was probably one of my favorites musically, is just to see greatness, calm. I had just watched their show, and there was, I love Fleetwood Mac. That's one of, so that's probably my favorite memory, musically anyway.
Wow. Well, how about personally? Not musically.
This is my favorite memory. There's a bunch that happened in here. I have an absolutely horrible memory. It could take me an hour to figure out what I remember that I like. Probably a few girls I could mention. Let's see.
Or what Rick James used to say, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I had, everybody's had drug problems. I really never really did. I have major drinking problems, and it's not that I drink all the time. It's that when I do drink, boy, it's on.
Wow.
And but now I have a hangover-induced AFib. So. And I've had it for a while, and I didn't know what it was until the fella on the TV came on, told that commercial talking about AFib. I went,
I think I recognize that. Yeah.
I know that. I've never heard anyone say hangover induced, but it's always only hangover induced. I've never had any issues, heart issues at all outside of that. So now, no more 2-day or tape. And I had so much fun doing that stuff. It's like, but now I can't really do that, even though. And now I push my luck, and I'm still at the point of going too far a little bit. But
Getting old sucks. Huh?
getting old sucks, man. I do not have any energy up. I do not have the that I had as a youngin with a couple shots of Jack in you, and you're good to go. You conquer the world, or at least you think. and the worst part about it's coming up. What added to this is as I'm coming up, I'm trying to hey, I'd go to any show in Daytona I could, anybody that was playing anywhere, and I'd be, hi, I'm Michael Allman. Can I sing a song? Sure, whatever. And then by the end of the night, I'm crocked over here waiting for them to call me up. I've been sitting at the bar going, wonder if he's ever, and terrified. I have stage fright beyond control. I've got much better control of it now because putting out the album gives you confidence that
Sure.
nothing else will. There's the only thing you can do as a musician to really, really accomplish something is put your album out with your name on it. Now people can listen over and over and judge you, and they can judge that. So then when they come to you, they've got more to judge. If they add a half-assed time to it, they're still,
So Taylor Dane told a story where she was like at the beginning of her career, Tell It to My Heart was out. She was like on an 11, and she went to a Prince concert, and Prince was like, hey, I want to meet her. So he called her backstage and he said, hey, come to the after show. I want you to come to the after show. She was so excited. She went to the after show. Her and her friend, who's one of her backup singers, they've been drinking all through the show. Then they get to the after show, and she's just like, she's meeting her idol now. Prince is, and he turns around. She is a half a bottle in, and he calls her up on stage.
Woo.
And she brought her friend up on stage, and she made the friend sing because she couldn't sing. She was, first of all, she was overexcited.
I did that in Nashville with some guy. I had that same scenario. I didn't think they'd call me up. I'm just sitting at the table watching a bunch. I'm not gonna pull names up, but there's a video on YouTube, and my comment, I'm sorry, because I had to pull my buddy up. I'm like, my buddy's coming to play guitar. I'm not, I'm cramp. And they wait. It's like, really, guys from Cowboy. It was an interesting thing. And then I'm like, I sang okay, but I needed his, because I'm used to him. Like he knows where I'm going to go and what I'm doing. So to have him up there, I had to have that too. I don't now.
Support, yeah.
I don't now.
You gotta have that
That was
support.
your safety blanket.
That was my safety blanket, was to call my buddy up there to play with me. And he freaked. He's all right. And then I stopped. They stopped the show and they wait. And he sets up, plugs in, turns on, and there's freaking.
Now talk about the pressure being on. Yeah, absolutely.
I could see him. He's sitting there. He's 2 sheets in. They're like,
Yeah.
Michael, you want to come up and sing? He's like,
No, no. I was, and they're, God, I'm like, fine. I said, come on, we're going. Hey, go get your guitar. Actually, that's what I whispered to him. Go get your guitar in there. So he went out and got it, and then they sang another song, and then he comes back, and he sits down. He's got his guitar, and he says, "Oh, are you ready now?" I think they assumed I was going to play.
Ah.
So they said, "You ready now?" And I went, "Yeah." So I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified, and I get up there, and it was all right, but I'd give anything to back up and just have walked up there and sang and just done my little part and got out. But I made it a little spectacle, and they'll never call me back up again for the headache I caused. It was not. I mean, I don't think the song sounds. I never even watched it long enough to get to the song because it. So I've been, I've done that a couple times.
we've actually talked about this in our past shows. Back in the day, I mean, it was normal for a musician to come up, like we were talking about Slash. He could lay on the side of the speaker and play, and that's because, hey man, he's already 2 bottles in, right? Now that a lot of the musicians are older, they're taking their craft way more seriously.
To an extent, but the problem is there's a lot of, when that alcohol brings out, or the drugs bring out a side of a human that you just don't have sitting around in you. The stage fright to walk on stage, first off, is I used to drink 3 days before a show. I was so nervous. So now I have insisted that I make sure I wait until the moments prior. So, okay, you don't have to be, I think I was using it as an excuse, literally, because I can get scared in my heart, like in my head and everything, just with a good thought of walking up on stage in front of something. If I fantasize about something really cool or going with someone badass, I panic. And the only thing to get rid of that is a shot.
So you do get stage fright?
Terrible.
Still now?
Still now. Very, very. I can walk in Whiskey River and love it because there's very little. There's only a momentary stage light. The first time I heard the crowd, once I know they're digging it,
Right.
I'm fine. I'll go on for hours and hours and hours. But if that doesn't happen or they're not there, there's no crowd. Like this with my buddy, we're doing these little shows and like almost nobody's coming out, and I don't really get why, but it's not about me. My shows are usually full, and Michael Allman band fills up, but it's a big production. It's not really a bar band, even though I don't have a problem being a bar band. But the production it takes to put mine on is big. You got to pay a little bit more to get the whole picture, and then I sing the whole show. With this one, I don't have to. I mean, I'm not going to. It's a 25% of my normal gig pay, just so I can go out and keep warmed up and do some stuff right around here. My album's about to come out, so I wanted to get my name, remind everybody I was here, and just not getting much of a response for it. I don't know why not, but I don't know. Playing the Tiki Hut, Katiki
down in St. Pete.
Yeah, this weekend coming up, Friday night. This Friday night, you will have already missed it. Sorry. But that's a fun one. We did it last time, but it was right when I started, and Mark was with me, so we absolutely kicked ass. Mark Shane is a bad man. I love him to death. Together we can walk into a place, just me and him with a guitar, and put on a hell of a show. Just me and him. People love it, and we can go join any band. With him, I can do it. He can lead bands. Like I said, when I first moved to town, he took me to a jam at your place, in fact. And that band was jamming, and it was jam night, and Mark and I get up there, and he's got them playing my album. They'd never heard it, but he could direct them well enough for me to sing my songs, and these guys never heard that. So Mark Shane can direct traffic and be that badass on guitars. So he's my dream right hand. We don't hang out outside of that at all, and it's just we're that kind of characters. We don't. Music is music, and then everything else is life. We don't.
Well, it's a special kind of relationship.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It prevents fight. We never argue or disagree or anything. And the one time he had to take a leave from my band, he put a really badass dude in his place. And what was cool about it is I was able to he was more like Dickie Betts, the one guy that we used for a year. And so I altered the show more because he had more of that Dickie feel. And I thought that was really cool. So, and then he comes back, which was awesome. Anyway, so I'm about to do it again for the Southern, see if I can't get back into the biker shows and the festivals and the things, because it's a lot of fun.
Well, that connection with the audience is really important. I get that. I don't think I get stage fright anymore, really, in that sense. I always have the butterflies just before you step out on the stage for the very first time. But like you, I know within the first few seconds if I'm connecting.
Yep.
Because the audience, there's a response. There literally is. And if you don't get that, you're very much alone up there.
So, you know what though? I want to go back. And I was trying to find some of my info, but when you mentioned about that band and Mark going up there and like the whole band, they were able to play your stuff. First of all, one of the things about Newport Richey that really kind of blew my mind when I got up here and opened up, Bourbon Street, the talent in some of the musicians in this area is pretty spot, okay?
Yeah.
And we had Dana that used to run Dubious Arbuckle, right? It was his band. It was the guy that had the Boston hat and the Boston guitar. He always had a big B on the guitar, and he ran the open jam at Bourbon. And every time I turned around, he's like, oh, do you know who that is? And I go, no,
Who?
he's drunk. I have no idea who that guy is. Oh, well, this is so-and-so, or this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and he plays with this person, and they're not on tour, and he's here. So, like, literally, that open jam became like a who's who is on stage right now. Like, every time I went there, it was always top-notch people.
Sure.
And
Mark must have agreed because he brought Michael Allman there.
yeah,
it was
crazy.
First place we went after outside of rehearsals.
And Dana, who is no longer with us anymore, he did pass on, but he had a string of health problems. He was very good friends with John Oliva and all the guys from Savatage from back in the 80s. And he went on tour with them, and he got the nickname, or he got the reputation of, show up, do everybody's drugs, and leave. And like,
wow.
Yeah, he was just that guy. He came
I'll take
in.
the whiskey and the women.
Yeah, like the minute, they said the minute the coke hit the table, you had to get him out of there because he'd take it all. He'd snort it all and run, and then they'd be like, okay, now we got to get some for us. But he was an 11 partier,
wow.
way over the line, and he wasn't even in the band. He was just like the friend that went on tour with him. Yeah,
wow.
But he handled a lot of business for John. He did a lot of stuff, and but Dana was a great guy, an amazing guitarist. But he knew everybody, like, in the music business, and whenever they came through Florida, they came up to Bourbon to come and hang out. So
I'm always like you. I'm always amazed by the level of talent that's here, because being from a bigger area, I come from New York. I grew up some in Philadelphia. And I've traveled around the globe a few times. So to me, big time music and artists are in these major hubs in the Tampa Bay area. There is so much, and I don't.
But they live
some
here
talent.
and they're
quiet. Incredible talent.
they don't want you to know they live here.
Right. It's just incredible talent. It really is.
They just live here. Like
me, I put a big old sign out front. Michael Allman lives here.
Getting kicked out of
Seaside
is
the one place I cannot get kicked out of.
It's right here.
I'm sitting it. I make the rules here, by God. My house.
Yeah, like we've discussed. John Blackwell, goes on tour with Prince as his drummer, comes back and catch him fishing out on Madeira Beach, off the pier every other week. That was, and then when I first met John Spinelli, and he was telling me, oh, there's a ton of artists that live in the Tampa Bay area, and I was like, yeah, I know. And he's like, yeah, this one. I'm like, what? Yeah. And because they don't, and a lot of them, they don't go out to the jams and stuff.
Yeah, I did it first. I used to go all over town, and then I wound up in the fight that got me in Pasco County Jail, just because you become the guy down the street. Yeah. When I go to Philadelphia, everyone, hey, Michael's back, Michael. They're all happy to see you. When you're just right around the corner all the day, it doesn't matter who you are, and that doesn't make any difference who you are. So it's best to not be all over your. Don't shit where you eat is, I guess, what something like those terms. It's hard to, and you don't want all that. You right. Get home to relax, and if you don't want
be removed from all of that,
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of talent, not that just came from here, but that's coming from here. So that would lead me to ask you, is there anything in the newer talent coming up that catches your eye? Is there something out there where you go, wow, that's going to be something?
The best answer all I got for that's about, like, they're not new. They've been around 100 years, but I listen to Blackberry Smoke, and I listen to old stuff. No, there's nothing new that has caught my eye. Okay. Any good musicians these days seem like they're going country. There isn't even a rock and roll category anymore. It don't seem like, like I can't just say what's your genre? Oh, it's like we renamed jazz sitting here. We were talking, contemporary jazz, or the country, is gone. It's just there's no one of anything, one particular. No, I don't. I'm not impressed with today's music.
Okay, and that's fair, because I rarely find stuff that I have to stop and say, I do find a lot of great stuff in the contemporary jazz area because a lot of these guys are trying to blaze a trail with a sound in it, with music and what have you. So it's interesting, it's exciting, and they're literally creating something. So that's really kind of cool. But I agree with you. You know, I haven't seen rock and roll expand like a few years ago. Let's say a generation ago, you would have thought rock and roll would just be off the charts now.
By now, right? Like thinking ahead, you would think, wow, what is the future going to bring with that?
And it's I don't know, it's lost its edge, it's lost its creativeness, and edge now becomes offense. I don't think that they think about it musically or artistically. I think it's pretty much who can we offend now more so than it is being artistic. And I might be wrong because I'm not really a rock and roll guy.
All the best rock and roll bands now are like cover bands, or like you know, they're a Prince band, or they're an Allman Brothers band, or they're
like a tribute,
they're ELO, or you know, whatever they are. But then now people will go. They know, at least they know they have an idea of what they're going to hear.
Right.
Because if you just put, and Wayne Scott Brown and Michael Allman shows is a perfect example. People have no idea what they're going to hear, so they don't go. But I guess they just don't go. It's hard. There's nothing new. Even trying to do something new, it's been done. So now you got to do what's been done right, and hope you can squeeze stuff in the meantime.
Well, you hear all the new artists coming out and they're sampling the stuff from our era.
Yeah.
They're sampling the stuff that was original back in our day.
And we know that they're not going to last long because they got business behind them. And the minute they don't make a ton of money, they're somewhere else. You know, so one-hit wonders now are it. That's the thing. Really, all today you can hope for is a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. And now, if you're doing,
then you better put that check in the savings account. The
money that you make has got to be on the road because you're not getting sales like you used to. I mean,
it's completely backwards. You used to buy a $5 ticket and then go buy, and so that you would go buy a $7, $8, $12 album, and it's 100% backwards now because you don't. Now tickets cost $100
or more. No, way more.
Way more. I know, but the numbers are absurd.
Astronomical. Yeah, it's astronomical.
And it's not to buy an album; it's to hear the old albums.
Yeah.
If I paid $300 to go see Elvis, and he played all brand new stuff, I'd be pissed. I want to hear old stuff, Elvis. You know, stuff I sing Mule Name Whiskey every show, every time. That song I wrote, and I always wondered before that if people got tired of their old songs, and I don't.
Right.
But if that was all anybody wanted to hear, but like they only want to hear the Allman Brothers when I get there. I have to squeeze mine in every now and then, and then they eventually over these years they've learned to like them.
It's a different era.
So you don't get tired of singing that?
I actually don't. I always wait till someone yells it out though. There's got to be one person in there that's heard that before that's going to yell it out, so that I go, okay, cool, I'll sing it for that one person, and then everybody else likes it because somebody randomly yelled it out. It's like, why? I haven't heard that, and then I'll sing it, and they heard it, and then they'll go on find it in the album, and then it becomes. I got buddies that have named their motorcycles Whiskey, my mule named Whiskey. I've got mules named Whiskey now because of it.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to his next show. We're gonna fly up to it, and I'm gonna yell out, "Play Rainbow Connection!"
Dreamer, you know you are a dreamer.
See, that's it. Hey, there you go. You gotta have a guy out there.
So,
sometimes I'll make a joke, and when they do that, I'll say, "I told you to wait in the truck." Stole that from a comedian.
Yeah, how'd you get in here?
I told you to wait outside.
You hear Alanis Morissette. Mm-hmm. That poor girl is on her Jagged Little Pill tour for the last 30 years. She's put albums out after that, but
that's what people want.
They didn't promote them. They didn't, Madonna really, benched her hard, with that record label, but you ought to know. Mm-hmm. Literally, she's been singing that for 30 plus years.
Yeah. Easy.
I don't know if I could do that if I was an artist and I had that one hit. Like if I could just
get out there and sing that every night. I imagine that would get kind of hard. But you felt so good when it came out and everybody loved it. Well, they're going to love it forever. I have mentioned that to people. I said, if that song hits #1, you're going to have to sing that forever. And I laugh. If there's something in it that I think, well, you really want to say that for the rest of your life? Because you may have to sing that song forever.
Well, I think there are generations now that are coming up that are discovering music from our era.
Yeah.
And who are finding a deep appreciation for it. So in a lot of ways, yeah, they're going to be stuck singing those songs for a while because they're cycling in a whole new audience of listeners now. And
they heard their parents. Sometimes they heard their parents play it in the car when they were kids,
and it resonates with
and
them.
then that's what I want to hear. If I go see this person, I want to hear what makes me feel better. My memory, and it's the times I remember seeing you listening to your song while I'm doing something that makes me feel good. Then when I go to see them, I want to hear that song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way around that.
Well, ECDC was just here in town, okay? And all the hotels filled with senior citizens. Okay, no joke. Yeah. Senior citizens. However,
hey, go easy. Go easy.
Come on. I mean, Brian's a friend, so Brian's a friend. So, but here was the thing: it wasn't the senior citizens that I suddenly took a look at because it did hit me kind of funny. It's like, damn, we're kind of old.
That's us. Yeah.
But it was the younger people that you weren't even around.
You weren't even alive when AC and a DC met.
They have a genuine appreciation and love for the music, and it's kind of like you see this.
They have nothing to compare it to when they were growing up. When they were growing up, they heard AC/DC from their parents playing it, and they heard, they hear back what they did, and then now it's time for them to hear the good music, and there just isn't any.
And now
so they're looking back.
So you're looking at this
and realizing that we had the great,
people.
This is the greatest era of music. We were the ass end of it. There's just not greatness, and it was too much of a business. This goes back to don't sign anything, because it's all business. And if you're not actually making money, you're not getting the help you need. And if they do start helping you, they loan you a bunch of money.
And then now
they don't tell you that it's, they don't really say it's loan.
Yeah.
Here's $500,000. Congratulations, here's $500,000.
Yeah.
And you think, all right, I done made $500,000. No, you ain't made $500,000 yet. You have still got to make $500,000.
Right.
And if you don't make it in a timely manner, you're going to be put on a shelf and you owe that money back.
Mm-hmm.
So either do their song, they tell you, do what they tell you to get up to, and until you get, it's a business. It's too much of a business now, to me, in my opinion. It's one-hit wonders are the new norm now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no sticking power.
Is there a life lesson that you have that you would pass on to any young person who's embarking down this road of being an entertainer?
Make sure you're happy when you're doing what you're doing. If you're getting into music and you're enjoying it, and somebody comes along and tells you, you suck. Okay, well, don't let that hinder you. Chances are that you're probably better than they are and they're jealous. That's usually how that works. Your friends will tell you, hey, wait a minute, let's see. That your friends will help you get better. Enemies will not, or not really enemies, but you know what I mean. And you mean what you're doing. If you absolutely mean what you're doing, it doesn't matter who likes it or who doesn't, as long as you're doing exactly what you want to. And any changes you make are because you want to. Even if it's someone else's idea, make sure you want to. Make sure you want to do what you're doing. And it will be a lot easier. Might not get rich because I don't like it, but I love my life that I've had in music, and it's been very, it's my own little mark on the wall. It's not. There is no more, the Beatles. There's no more of that going to happen. It's, there's no more overnight sensation that becomes, my first album sold 1 million records. That's not how the dream. That was the old dream. That's how we dreamed as musicians back then. I want to be super famous. That's just the term that came out. There's no such thing as that anymore. That's pretty much it. Practice.
Well, they say,
and don't sign anything.
Don't sign anything.
They say if you
autographs
do what you love,
are fine.
You'll never work a day in your life.
That's right.
Do what you love, and that's the bottom line. That's actually strangely enough true. I started out. I've been a framer. I started out truck driving. And then at 18 years old, I had a pocket full of money and got my first DUI. Great job, great truck driving job, doing it. And so now I can't drive a truck anymore. My first DUI, 18 years old. Oh my God. And then went to framing, and I loved framing. I loved all that, but I quit. I quit doing. And when I started electricity, the amount of knowledge required, and I can kill people and burn houses down. I can make a mistake, and devastation will occur. So the amount of concentration that I learned to enjoy with that, I love being an electrician now. Like, I love that. I love doing electrical work. And that's because I love it. And that's the most important thing. Make sure you love what you're doing. Music's a hard thing to get into. Everybody has an opinion, and they all suck. You never know who to trust. If you can lay down and hum your tune in your head, you're doing a great job.
Do you have any children?
I do. I have 2 sons in Michigan. My oldest, Brandon's, coming down any minute. He's coming to Fort Myers. We're going to scatter my mama's ashes and my grandma's ashes. We lost them. We waited so we have them both, and we're going to go to Daytona here coming up shortly and go scatter mama, and that's going to be hard. But
are they in the music business?
No, they're not. I as they were growing up, I was not. And I didn't, the divorce, and that doesn't, they're in the same boat as I was, but not really. They don't play any instruments or anything. Brandon's a metallurgist. He's that guy in the suit with the,
Wow, yeah.
He's melting metal, making metal stuff. So he's kind of got a great job. He just had my grandson. He's 8 now. I say just got, but last time I saw any of them was my father's funeral, and he was a little baby, my grandbaby. But now he's 8, so now I'm gonna see him again at 8.
Do they sing?
I don't
have that voice.
I'm kind of not the best father. I don't not much in their lives. Their mom, just made me the devil. So they never they have made since one of them has made his mind up that no he's not. Mom lied to me, and that's evil. That when parents turn against each other, wanting to drag their kids and change their mind so that they only like one of them, that is the most evil thing you can do to a human being, is say, oh, your dad sucks. Yeah, your dad's this, your dad, or your mom is this, your mom is, right. That's just, what is wrong with you? Shut up. Fight with your wife, not your kid. Not through, then you send, what's your mom been up to? Even when they do get a few minutes with the other one, nobody's handling that right.
No.
If parents can't be friends, they shouldn't have had kids in the first place. They should just both give them up. Okay. I hated that. I hate that when I see it. I didn't have to deal with it. I just mean I've seen that a lot growing up, and it's just awful.
It's ugly. Yeah,
it's awful.
It absolutely is ugly.
Yeah.
Is there a Mrs. Allman?
No. I had two misses. They are gone. No, Michael is very single and will remain that way. Third time is not the charm, and I will never believe anyone if they tell me so.
Okay.
No, I'll never do that again. No, it's amazing how much you love somebody. Turns out love is just a thing that makes humans make babies. It's a feeling we're supposed to make babies and then go to find somebody else to make babies with. Like animals do. They don't have rings on. Ain't no raccoons out there with rings on. They're just making babies. So, no, love is
I am not a raccoon.
I am not a raccoon. Well, technically we are, because we don't have rings on. We're like raccoons. We just go have a good time, dig in the trash, have some fun, and procreate.
Trash bandits.
Trash bandits.
Dig in the trash. Okay. Wow.
Michael, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us, man.
Absolutely.
This has been an incredible journey, man. Cool. We appreciate you going with us.
Glad you liked it.
And I love this. It's
a feeling this is like I come in, I'll just sit back and watch TV, and then I notice I'm just kind of off staring. Because everything in here I've handpicked. Everything. I don't have people shipping me tons of guitars or anything. I've literally handpicked everything in here.
Well, we could do shows just going from one thing to the next.
Every one of them I got a little bit of a story for.
And I love all of the signatures and all the little writing things on
when it was empty. When I first opened it, there was not much in it. And my friends would come by and see it, and there was nothing on the walls, hardly. So I had everybody just start signing the walls any old place they wanted to. I made that wall first thing as soon as I opened the place. I had about 12 guitars and those posters. So that wall has remained the same since well, I've swapped guitars in and out since then, but the basics of that wall has been the same. And it started out as going to be a record store, not a guitar store. But it rapidly turned into a guitar store when I realized how much I like guitars.
There you go.
And don't play.
Don't play. Now look, I have a hard time tuning them. I can tear one down, rebuild the shit out of it. but I can't. In order to hear, I can't wait for my guitar buddy to say, "Hey, how's this sound?" Have him check it out.
So I before we end this episode, I just want to point out to everybody that we did a whole episode of Mayhem Local Live, and Mr. Perry has titties right next to his head.
Oh, you got to hear the story now you brought him up.
No,
So the whole show.
Oh, wow. All
The whole
Right
show.
next to your head the whole time.
You didn't say a word.
So yeah, we got to hear a story about it.
Okay.
These are special titties. I mean, I haven't run across many that aren't, but these are Miss Patty's. Patty's hashtag Patty's boobs, and she was a bartender for years across the street at Venom, which is now just motorcycles. It was a motorcycle shop and a bar.
Yep.
And she Ming's place, yeah, Min's place, and Patty was she was well endowed, so she's big old boobies, and she would catch guys with when they were looking, and she'd say, "Oh, hey, I'll give me $5, I'll show you my boobs." She'd reach under, they'd throw $5 on the bar in a heartbeat because they're huge. Who wouldn't want to see them? So they'd throw $5 on the bar. She'd pick these out from under the bar and set them on the bar. There's my boobies. So I'm hanging out as always, and then so I signed them one day. I love signing boobies. That's my favorite place in the world to sign.
I love signing boobies.
So then she says, "Okay, well, I'm quitting." I said, "Well, give me the boobs. I'm taking them with me." So June of 2019, they went. Oh, this is hilarious. They went to Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and Philly on 2018. And there's pictures of me in the airplane. I'm sitting in my airplane seat with boobies on tour. I'm hanging out. And this is amazing to have in the plane, man. It's like, ah. So, and now they're iconic.
Well,
I guess they are.
And they did. They made all these tours, all these shows.
It is not going to be kid friendly.
It's a stuffed animal.
Well, we'll put the warning label on there,
Right next to your head.
Right next to
mine.
mine.
Whole show.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
It's always an adventure. Michael, thanks for hanging with us, bro.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the Peach. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks.